Okay, guys, time for a video here. Seen on the news where Gaylord Perry passed away, and I hadn't featured him yet, so I thought, it'd be a good time to feature him. So I'll do him last, but we'll start out with Mr. Tony Perez here in this 1971 Topps. Tony Perez, Big Dog, Big Doggy, Doggy, the mayor of Riverfront, had several different nicknames. Has a lifetime 54 WAR, which ranks him 260th all time, ahead of players like Minnie Minoso, Fred McGriff, and Joe Tinker. 7-time All-Star, All-Star MVP, 2 World Series, 2,732 hits, 379 home runs, lifetime 279 batting average. Signed with the Reds in 1960 at the age 17 with a signing bonus, which equated to about $2.50, and that was the cost of a visa and a plane ticket. That was his signing bonus. It's part of the Big Red Machine. His son, Eduardo Perez, played 13 seasons in the majors and was a announcer on TV. Minnie Minoso was his boyhood hero. In 1972, he returned back to Cuba for the first time since 1963. Took a 400-mile train ride out of Havana with 17 suitcases full of clothes, gifts, and medical supplies for his families. So he was trying to do all he could, to help them out. Tony Perez. Next, the big unit, Randy Johnson. 6'10", the tallest player in baseball history, with a lifetime 101.1 WAR, which ranks him 30th all time, ahead of Warren Spahn, Phil Niekro, Steve Carlton. 5-time Cy Young, 2002 pitching Triple Crown, 10-time All-Star, 2001 World Series, a World Series MVP, 4-time ERA champion, 303 wins, 3.29 career ERA, 4,875 strikeouts. Second all-time in strikeouts behind Nolan Ryne. Won 3 games. Got 3 wins in the 2001 World Series. One of only 20 pitchers with wins against all 30 teams. He also had a no-hitter in both leagues. 4 of his 6 300 strikeout seasons came after the age 35. May 18th of 2004, at 40 years old, threw the 17th perfect game in MLB history. First Hall of Famer shown with a Diamondbacks jersey on his plaque. Senior in high school, he struck out 121 batters in 66 innings and closed the season out as a senior in his last game with a perfect game. Tim Raines gave him his nickname, the Big Unit, after colliding with him during batting practice in the outfield. He said, "Dang, you are a big unit." Big-time photographer, loves photography, pretty good at it. Randy Johnson, the Big Unit. Next, in this beautiful 1954 Bowman, Edwin Duke Snider, the Silver Fox, the Duke of Flatbush. Lifetime 65.9 WAR, ahead of Biggio, Andre Dawson, Willie McCovey, ranked 136 all time. 8-time All-Star. 2-time World Series, lifetime 295 batting average, 2,116 hits, 407 home runs, went to 6 World Series. In high school, he could throw a football 70 yards. There was a little controversy surrounding the MVP vote in 1955 between him and Roy Campanella. There was one baseball writer that was ill and in the hospital sick, but he still voted. And he put Roy Campanella first and fifth place and did not put Snider on his list at all. So they thought it was an error and thought Snider was either due first or fifth. They didn't know which one to put him, but since the vote was already turned in, they just marked out the fifth place vote and moved everybody up. So that one writer actually did not cast a vote because of the error for Snider at all in his top 10. He would have won the MVP vote in 1955 had he been first or fifth. So, hit 19 home runs off of Hall of Fame pitcher Robin Roberts. Was in the Navy during World War II. In the 1950s, he led MLB in RBIs. He's the only player to hit 4 or more home runs in a World Series twice. Edwin Duke Snider. Next up, Mr. Ryne Sandburg, nicknamed Rhino. 1984 MVP, Home Run Derby champion, 7-time Silver Slugger, 9 Gold Gloves, 10 All-Stars, 285 batting average, 2386 hits, 282 home runs, 344 stolen bases, 68 career WAR, 122nd all-time, ahead of players like Ernie Banks, Miguel Cabrera, and the aforementioned Duke Snider. Like most of these guys, just a super athlete in high school. Signed a letter of intent to play quarterback for Washington State, but declined that offer to go to college and play after being drafted in the 20th round. Hall of Famer, drafted in the 20th round by the Phillies. The Phillies traded him and Larry Boa to the Cubs for Ivan DeJesus. They were trying to make room for Manny Trio and Mike Schmidt. They thought he would only be a utility player. He'd never amount to anything. The Cubs actually wanted to play him at center field, but put him at third. And then they acquired Ron Say, moved him to second, where he would retire as the all-time fielding percentage leader at second base. There is something called the Sandburg game in June of 1984. In the ninth inning, playing the Cardinals, the Cubs were down 9-8, and Bruce Sutter came in the game, and he hit a home run to tie it up in the ninth. And then in the 10th inning, while down 2, he came up again against Sutter and hits a 2-run homer to tie it up again. The Cubs would go on to win the game, but that's called the Sandburg game. And Willie McGee hit for the cycle in that game, but it's not called the McGee game. It's called the Sandburg game because he went yard twice against Sutter. So, really good player here, Ryne Sandburg. Last but not least, rest in peace, Mr. Gaylord Perry in his 1967 Topps. 90 WAR, 46th all-time, ahead of pitchers like Bob Gibson, Fergie Jenkins, and Mike Mussina. 2-time Cy Young, 5-time All-Star, 314 wins, 3.11 ERA, 3,534 strikeouts. Him and his brother Jim are second in wins by brothers behind the Necro brothers. He was named after a close family friend died while having his teeth pulled. So they named him after this guy. In high school, he was all-state as an offensive and defensive end in football. In basketball, he averaged 30 points and 20 rebounds. His team was 94-8 as a basketball player. Was taught to spitball in 1964 by Bob Shaw. Pitched 21 years in the majors before being ejected for doctoring pitches. He kind of was known for doctoring pitches and throwing spitballs and everything, and he used it to his advantage. He would get in batters' minds, and he would touch his ear, touch the brim of his hat, touch his eyebrows, touch his shoulder, always getting in their mind. He used it. He also had another favorite pitch called the puffball, which I hadn't heard of this one, but they outlawed it because of him, and where he would get a handful of rosin in his hand, and as he released the ball, the rosin was like bunched up behind the ball, and it would leave like a puff of smoke when he'd throw it, and it'd throw batters off. They had to outlaw that pitch because of it. One time he got Reggie Jackson so mad about his antics that Reggie ended up getting ejected from the game. And then Reggie came back onto the field with the Gatorade and basically was gesturing to the umpire and asked him, hey, you want to give this Gatorade, see if he could use it, to doctor up pitches? His manager, Gene Mauch, I think is how you say it, said he should have a tube of KY jelly mounted onto his plaque. He once actually approached Vaseline for a sponsorship, but they said, hey, we're made for doctoring baby butts and not baseballs. So he authored the book, Me and the Spitter. Rest in peace, Gaylord Perry. I do got a couple bonus cards I'll show you guys tonight. One hockey card. 2012 Roger Staubach Precious Metal Gems 8.5. These are kind of a big deal. Numbered 85 of 100. I think the first 10 are numbered green. Really, really tough to get good grades on these for the chipping on the metal. 8.5 is really a good grade. Roger Staubach. Then I've already featured this player, just not this card. This 1969 Topps Bob Gibson off-centered, but man, look how sharp that card is. Got a little Babe Ruth action, Pete Rose action on the back. That's it. Thanks, guys.